I think Justin Fields is incredibly accurate, strong arm, and tough quarterback. It'd be hard for me to imagine that they're going to pass up on that for one of these other quarterbacks. I think he wins in part because he's probably going to get drafted there, and mostly because he gets to go into a team that is pretty close to complete, which rarely happens if you're drafted in the top 5. He's going to go to a pretty close to complete team with a great offensive coordinator. Congratulations to him.
Now, whoever drafts him, that quarterback, whatever they take, might wind up being the big winner. Kimberly, you're next. How about a loser? Give me a loser in this trade. 30 seconds, go.
Okay, Jimmy G may be the 49ers guy right now, but he won't be the guy for long. Think about it, Greeny. A year ago, he was in the Super Bowl, and now his team has traded the farm to get his eventual replacement. Whether it's Mac Jones, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, it doesn't matter because Jimmy G might be there this year, but you know that his time with the 49ers, it's not going to go on much longer.
Right, and I agree with that, and I understand the basis of what you're saying. What I will say in response is that no one with that amount of money who looks the way he does is ever a loser in any sense that really matters.
All right. Okay,
but I understand what you're saying.
Fair
and speaking of handsome, Mike Tannenbaum, you are next. Who is your biggest winner of this deal with the Niners moving up to 3? 30 seconds, go.
Speaking of handsome, the handsome starting quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa. You know, there was some speculation, could Miami at 3 take Trey Lance, Justin Fields, or Mac Jones? And I'm glad they're staying patient. They believed in him last year, came off a big hip surgery, has a full off season. They got better weapons around him and Will Fuller. Presumably they'll take somebody else at 6. So Tua Tagovailoa being the starting quarterback of Miami, big winner. He has a much better foundation for success this year than he did last year, playing as a rookie, coming off of surgery with no off-season program.
Yes, I think that's a point well taken. It is a near certainty. I guess it isn't for certain, but a near certainty that either Jamar Chase or Kyle Pitts, who both look like NFL superstars waiting to happen, will be available for them at number 6. But with all these high-profile quarterbacks being up there near the top, the Dolphins make the decision to move out of that spot and sort of circle around Tua. Dominique, do you think that was the right thing to do?
Yeah, I absolutely think it was the right thing to do. I think there are plenty of reasonable excuses or explanations for Tua's struggles last year, and it's not as if Tua was an abject failure. He just struggled a bit coming off of a serious injury into a season that didn't have a legitimate training camp or true offseason. I think that he deserves the support that they're going to give him. And the tough thing is, the pressure is going to go up on him because they have a great tight end in Gesicki. They're going to add another weapon. They're going to bolster that offensive line. And they already have, they've added Fuller and they have Devontae Parker. Like, this is going to be a pretty loaded roster. So he better ball out this year because there's going to be no more excuses. And they'll still have the capital to move up in the draft the following season. So I think this is a make or break year for Tua. But the good news is he has all the tools to get it done.
Yeah, the safety net of Ryan Fitzpatrick is no longer there. Just quickly, as they sit now, putting one of those good weapons on Miami, are they ready to challenge Buffalo in that division? Think about what New England has done. Right now, Nick, who's the team to beat in the AFC East? Quick.
Oh, yeah, it's Buffalo. I think Buffalo's still the team to beat. They haven't gotten any worse, and we haven't seen Tua play at a high level yet. If we see that from Tua, then maybe I'll switch over to Miami. But right now, Buffalo's the team to beat.
Okay, we will come back with much more on the NFL as we roll on. But now to the NBA and the weekend wrap-up, and it was busy. Saturday, the Pelicans beat the Mavericks behind 38 points from Zion Williamson. He has been on fire. It was his second straight game with at least 35. He's been simply sensational of late. But the big stories in the NBA were the post-trade deadline wheeling and dealing. The Lakers have signed Andre Drummond. They announced yesterday the Lakers' star players and front office recruiting Drummond hard, selling him on the opportunity to step into the defending champions' starting lineup. That coming a day after LaMarcus Aldridge, a 7-time All-Star, agrees to sign with the Nets for the rest of the year, joining that loaded roster as Brooklyn pursues its first NBA championship. And that led our friend Stephen A. Smith to say this.
So what's next? I mean, we going to get the ball boy next? I mean, this is almost like buying a championship, for crying out loud. What about competition? We just going to get everybody now? Everybody? But if we just going to stockpile and get everybody and everybody running to Brooklyn to try to steal a championship, I mean, come on.
Buy a championship. Here's the one and only Jay Williams, the Jay from KJZ. What do you think? You heard what Steve said. What do you think?
Everybody has opportunity to go out and get players. I mean, the Lakers got Andre Drummond. That's a huge addition for the Lakers. I will say this. When James Harden came over to the Nets, I already thought it was over, Greeny. I said it multiple times. This is the best scoring trio the game has ever seen. Mm-hmm. That turned into a debate about, hey, are they the best team? I said, no, I didn't say they're the best team. That's Golden State with KD, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson. But the way these guys can score, yes, they're the best scoring trio. I think bringing Blake Griffin over and now LaMarcus Aldridge are pieces that help unlock them. LaMarcus Aldridge was an all-star a couple of years ago. If you've been paying attention to basketball, he hasn't been that great over the last couple of years, okay? He's a guy that can average 12 points, maybe 4 or 5 rebounds, can give you some assists here or there, but it's more about how they play. Him and Blake Griffin unlock KD, James Harden, and Kyrie in all pick and rolls. That's why it's going to work.
So 2 thoughts. One, he doesn't have to be great on this team.
Yes, he doesn't
won't
have
be
to.
asked to carry anything. Second, I think that the problem here might be the perception that the Nets, who are already loaded, and the Lakers, who are already loaded, added players, and you look at the Utahs, the Phoenixes, the Milwaukees, the other teams, the small market teams that aren't so glamorous, that don't, and I think a lot of people look at it and say, what are they, the Washington Generals? I mean, how is this thing supposed to work?
Well, that's on the teams, though, right? I mean, the teams are allowed to offer whatever you want. Those individuals can choose whether they accept that offer or not in the buyout market. It's like an arms race, essentially. So, look, players at this stage of their career are finding out these are the teams they want to be on because they want to win championships. It's not a knock to smaller teams. It's just people don't feel like they can win a championship. Andre Drummond doesn't feel like he can win a championship in Phoenix. Maybe that's how he feels.
I got it. But I remember when KD went to Golden State, my immediate reaction was, he obviously can do whatever he wants. I've never criticized him for doing what he wanted to do. But it ruined the season. There was just a foregone conclusion. No one could play with them. Is the East a foregone conclusion at this point? Can anybody...
It's been a foregone conclusion, in my opinion. I said that when James Harden went over. That's the first thing I said. Milwaukee will be there. The 76ers will be there. There are really good teams in the conference. But at the end of the day, I said it just with James Harden, Kyrie, and Kevin Durant. If they're both on the floor, I didn't find anybody stopping this trio offensively. All this extra stuff, it's like gravy. It's like going back to the buffet and be like, oh, I'll get some extra cranberry. Yeah. I'll get some extra banana pudding. That's what Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge are. You already have a full course meal right there with that trio.
I'm with you. And then, when you add a guy like Blake Griffin, you add a guy like LaMarcus Aldridge, the way I look at it is, along the way, there'll be one game in the playoffs they win because they got that guy, right?
Yes.
He'll win them one game, or Aldridge will win them one game, and it goes like that. Meanwhile, I started this conversation by talking about Zion and the monster numbers that he's been putting up of late. I want you to hear what Rick Carlisle, the coach of the Mavericks, said about Zion this weekend, because I thought it was fascinating.
He's an unusual force and obviously a great player. And so, we'll have to figure something a little better out next time. But he's doing this to everybody. It presents huge challenges for the defense and for the officials. He is just creating collisions out there. This is a Shaquille O'Neal type force of nature with a point guard skill set.
He is a Shaquille O'Neal force of nature with a point guard skill set, says Rick Carlisle, who's been around and seen a lot. What do you think?
It's called Shaqting a PG. Not Shaqting a fool, Shaqting a PG. He's the most unique player in basketball right now on the planet. He's Karl Malone with LeBron James handles. I mean, that's how he is. And look, we always talk about the lack of skill set with Zion, like that mid-range shot. I've said it a lot, like you're wondering about that piece because he puts himself in harm's way. But when that's 260, 270 coming at you full force, he's either getting to the free throw line or he's powering through. He powers through people, not over the top of people. He has that athletic ability, but he powers through you, and he pushed Rudy Gobert down to the ground like he's mini-me. That's how he made Rudy Gobert feel. Stand next to Rudy Gobert in real life and tell me if you can push him down.
Yeah, Zion is uniquely built. So my question to you is, no one could have come into the NBA with more hype than Zion did. Is he better than you thought he'd be?
Yes, he is. And now he makes me question, at Zion Williamson's team, now what do they do with Brandon Ingram? Brandon Ingram was like that guy, like you're waiting for him, Inspector Gadget. He's going to be a superstar, right? No, Zion's a superstar now. What do you do with Brandon Ingram? Will he be a part of this team for their long-term success?
And they'll have to make those calls. But again, on Zion himself.